been very like intentional and in saying like, hey, none of these characters represent my friends or anything I know. But you know what? My mom asked me all the time, is this person me? Or is this person? I'm like, no, lady, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not trying to get sued.
Hey everyone, I am Maziel Toots, and I'm here with Kimberly Lake from Four Friends in a Book podcast. Many of you know us from our discussions we have centered on books, life, and current events, but we started a new segment, Author Spotlight. And we get to have an organic conversation with the author, their writing journey to being published, and of course, the impact it has had on the culture. And today we have a special guest, Miss Sharina Harris. Hey Sharina, how are you?
Hello. Hi, Isaiah. Hi, Kim. Happy to be here. I'm doing well.
That's
Doing
good.
well.
Thank you
Happy
so much for
Friday.
coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we're so excited, to have you here at Four Friends in the Book podcast. And, before I even get started, Kim, did you and Sharina go to school together? A little backstory with that one.
We did. Actually, we actually lived down the street from each other.
Yeah.
That's right. The same bus. So, yeah, we went to the greatest high school, Northside High School in Warner Robins.
Go Eagles.
We have that history. We go decades back.
Oh no, decades. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
we're
fair.
old now.
Yeah, a little bit, a smidge.
And I know, we was talking, internally, Kim mentioned, how good Sharina books were, and, that she had a friend that's a accomplished published author. And, I'm just so glad to meet you, Sharina, that you can be on the show. And, Sharina, just introduce yourself to the viewers as well as to us, and just give us a little background about how you got started with your journey as a writer.
Absolutely. Actually, it starts back, as Kim would say, decades ago, Meadow Ridge Drive, North Side. I actually knew back then that I wanted to be a writer. I remember being in English class, and I was pretty close to my teacher, and she gave me a book on different majors you can have in college, and then they had like the salary of the jobs. Well, I saw journalism and I saw writing and those little salaries. And I know this is before, like this is way back when, but I was like, oh no, I can't be poor. So I was just like, so I promptly went to public relations and I kind of suppressed that part of myself because I've always been a part of like the newspaper staff, journalism, and college, did the same thing, magazine editor. But I didn't think it was practical. And then, God has a way to, at least how I feel, to course correct. And I was late, and I've been wanting to, I had this book in my mind. Had a chapter here and there. And my husband was like, you should take. Literally, it felt like I heard a voice say, okay, you can cry about it or you can write about it. And so that was my kickoff, my journey. Now I wrote my first book, which was, to be quite honest, garbage, hot garbage, but that was, I needed to get it out. That was my, play book. It wasn't play. Actually, fun fact, this is a book that I have coming out next year. And so I just knew that I needed to learn and dedicate myself to the craft. So I joined writing organizations. I found critique partners over the years, and it took me, as far as like seriously pursuing writing, it took me like 3 or 4 years before I got published with a smaller press. And then my next set of books, my women's fiction, start off with contemporary romance and women's fiction, got onto a larger publisher. And then, here I am today. So yeah, it was quite a journey, but it really did start in childhood, but just kind of suppressing that part of myself and, got course corrected. So here I am.
Wow, that's an amazing journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a journey. So you talked about a couple of your books, and your books are in the fiction genre. Now, I love fiction
Yes.
books. That's the most of the books I read are fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you go towards that genre in the first place?
But honestly, I wanted to write what I was reading. So I had always been fascinated, probably not reading things I had no business reading, but certainly, reading like, Terry McMillan, Waiting to Exhale, to Stephen King, to Anne Rice. I was like 12, 13, scared the bejesus out of myself a little bit, or just reading things I had no business reading, but it's still in my mom's books. And then I really got into love romance novels, but I just noticed that, there was a type, and it wasn't a lot of Black folks in those books. So really wanting to see myself in those books. And publishing, we have a lot of issues. We're definitely behind. Let me not put myself in there. They're definitely behind in just being representative, having books or products, whatever you want to call, on the market that's representative to the interests of readers. And and certainly that was the case when I was younger, and it's still the case, unfortunately, today. So I wanted to see those stories, and I was motivated to see that from whether it's books or TV, and that's really why I focused on fiction. And I think you can be pretty impactful with fiction as well. I think I enjoy nonfiction as well, but with fiction, it's fun because you can have a theme and you can tell a story, and it can sit with you sometimes a bit longer, instead of having something that's 100% factual. So there's always like a theme that I like to have, or I want to impart on my readers. That was a really long answer, but it's a true answer.
Nice answer.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Today, man, we got a real one for you. We coming with some of these braised oxtail. Nice and tender.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
One of Dr. Gino's strengths in his preaching to me is his ability to situate the listener.
Transition is hard. In fact, I dare say that it's one of the most difficult things to do. And I mean, in a real sense, it is so hard that in one it produces fear.
You pick an image that we all can relate to. What do you love most about your practice of African-American preaching? Go.
My practice of African-American preaching is steeped in Zora Neale Hurston's Negro expression. When we sing a song, it's sung a lot differently. When we do a dance, it's done a lot differently. When we preach a sermon, it's done a lot differently, because we take it through our struggle and we adorn it and beautify it. And we've had to dare to find God and mine hope, so that we might be able to know that the trouble that we go through doesn't last always.
Very good. And that actually helps me to segue into my next question. I know you said it wasn't a lot of Black authors out when you was just starting to read, and especially get into the style of writing that you want to do. So I just wanted you to talk about, your writing journey, especially with writing Imperfectly Happy and The Judge's Girl. I read some of your work, and, I know you wrote that these stories was a love letter to women, specifically Black women, which I actually love. Who often are sacrificed themselves, their goals and happiness for dreams of others. That was a basically powerful statement.
Oh, okay. Yes. That was So really, when I started writing, specifically Imperfectly Happy, this was before I had my son. He's 4 years old now. So it's two inspiration points that really got me into this specific genre. Although I write, as you can see, a couple of genres, but in particular, there was this Oprah episode, Next Chapter, when they had the Black women, Black actors of Hollywood, right? And it was like Gabrielle Union, Afri Woodard, Viola Davis, and Felicia Rashad, I want to say. And, they're basically talking about the struggles and how there wasn't a lot of diversity of roles in there. Like you were competing with someone who was 18 to 60, like literally there was nothing, specific for them because there wasn't a lot of stories. And that's what Oprah asked, like, how can we combat that? And then Afri Woodard was like, we need more Black stories. And it sat with me. I was like, oh, I like viscerally, I felt something, right? And then, in my own life, I think at that time I was like maybe on the cusp of 30, if not 30. I was really afraid of, pursuing writing and having my corporate job, which I still have, and then now inserting like a family and having a child. I was like, ooh, okay, this is a lot. Like, how am I going to do it all? So really Imperfectly Happy was like a little bit of a representation of what myself and what my friends were going through, whether or not those fears were, not saying I based it off of one of those characters, was off of a friend, never would do that, but more so like just the manifestations of our fears. And it allowed me to like exercise that. And I know that a lot of, women, 30 and up go through the same thing. And I wanted to, let this be a call to arms. Like, it is never too late to go after, your dreams. And I love, reading articles of people pivoting, like Ava DuVernay. She started off in PR and then she switched tracks to film, and like, which, later in her career, right? And what you would think. And, I love hearing stuff like that. It is never too late. If you have the passion for it, and you'll have that energy behind it, it's going to get better and better and better and bigger and bigger and bigger. At least that's what I believe. So that's what I wanted to show, is like, don't be afraid to take that first step.
And then Imperfectly Happy, I know you spoke about like the 4 college friends. Did any of your friends think that was the story of their life? Did they ask you is that character them, with Raina, Kara, Sienna, Nikki?
No, they knew, because I've been very like intentional and saying like, hey, none of these characters represent my friends or anything I know. But you know what? My mom asked me all the time, is this person me? Or is this I'm like, no, lady, I'm not going to do that. I'm not trying to get sued. Because I know of an author that happened to. They literally, I mean, it was very, very specific. And sure enough, they got sued. So that was a lesson for me. So I don't want my family or friends to feel uncomfortable with being their authentic selves and thinking like, ooh, that's I might feel a line for somebody. I'll say, hey, can I take that joke? They're like, yeah, girl, put it in there. And that's about the extent of what I'll do.
Love it.
They're like, don't put me in the book. Do not put me in the book.
I was like, nope, that is your. So
now, we're friends on, Instagram, Facebook. And yesterday, this beautiful cover appeared on my timeline.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what is this? It's a new project from Sharina. So can you tell us about this new project you have coming out?
So you remember that hot garbage I was telling you about? Well, I spun it into gold. At least I think it's gold. I'm gonna name it and claim it. But yeah, so it's one of those things. It's kind of harkening back to what I said. I wanted to see myself in those characters. I was a huge, I love my vampires. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In the series, they had like 1 or 2 Black Slayers in there, like, soak in that one episode that they had them. And I just wanted to see, us centered. And so that it's not, it sounds like fan fiction, but it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets like my Slayers have alchemy. They use alchemy to fight vampires who also have powers, and it's different factions. So this is about a young woman. She's 18, so not quite a teen. Like we call that upper young adult category. And basically, her Slayer powers are activated after she was attacked by vampires, and then so she's stepping into this new world of what is it to be, to take on these powers, to protect the world when you feel like the world has not protected you or been there for you. And so it's a nice little internal journey of, of owning your own power and lending that to others who maybe don't deserve it, but greater good. So it's a 3-book series. It will be out. Soul of the Slayer will be out April the 4th, 2023. And I'm super excited. This is what I always say. This is the story of my heart, but this is the one that kicked it off for me to say, okay, I'm a writer now. So I finally dusted this manuscript out. I put a lot of, I don't even want to tell you how many hours I put into this thing to make it shine. And I'm so glad that I have a publisher believes in it and is doing right by it. And I just love that cover. I love it so much. And it was a Black illustrator who did took the cover. I want to see if I can figure out find his name and shout him out. But he, I tagged him and he posted, and he is a talented young man. And I know I sound like an old lady saying he's a talented young man, but he looks young to me. So if you're older, I'm sorry, you just have a baby face. I'm sorry, you look so young. But his name is Deny, and he just has his it's called Art of Deny on Instagram. If you want to check him out, he is quite amazing. So shout out to him and E. Stokes, who also designed the cover. But Deny, he illustrated the actual character, and I'm just like, oh, so excited.
Love it.
Dating is a journey, not a destination. And so I found that you just really have to exercise some patience.
I hear women like, you should come to church and you're going to meet your husband here.
And coming from being married, you get into that thing of, I only know one person. So now it's just being a little bit more patient and seeing what it is that I really, really want.
We want to talk about the ALTA program, which is you founded as the only nurse-led dementia-friendly congregation program.
We received some funding in the Georgia Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program for us to really develop this program and support Black churches. And when I support them, I want to make sure that they have what they need in place, the knowledge, the resources, and the tools to support their parishioners. And I want to make sure that our leaders are equipped, and also the congregation is equipped. So they'll know if someone brings their mom to church, they're not going to be looking at them side-eyed. They will be more supportive.
And Sharina, not only do you just write good books, but you also write great blogs, because I actually read a lot of them on your actual website. And I see that you are a dreamer, because Kim and I actually talk about this a lot because we're dreamers. We like to, see the vision, put that vision and make it a reality. So I see that in your book, and I can't wait to read that 3-part series of, the things that are in your mind that are coming onto pages.
Thank you so much. Fellow dreamers, unite. We make the world go round, I think.
And Sharina, just last question. What kind of advice do you have for aspiring writers? I know it's just so important to invest in yourself and, your products, but what can you give to up and coming writers that can, one day want to actually, go after their dreams to do, publish a book?
Ooh, okay. I'm going to see if I can narrow it down to 3. One is going to sound very straightforward and boring, but it's absolutely true. You got to write. And what does that mean? Everyone has their own schedules. I know some people are like, you got to write every day. No, you got your own schedule. You make it work, but you have, if you can, make it consistent as much as possible, right? But sometimes you make, maybe I have a bunch of friends who are nurses who are also writers, and they write in passages of 100, right? 100 words. So you do what you got to do, right? But put the words on the pages. Don't overthink it. Just put it down and then go back and edit later. There's magic in editing, but get the words out there. 2, you got to be a continuous student. You got to learn. Not all courses are created equal, so don't get mad if you have, you spend $100 on a janky course. Look at those reviews, make sure it's a good fit for you, but, continue to hone your craft, and you do that by reading. That's the biggest thing you could do, honestly, is reading. And then also, taking courses or downloading books on writing. You can do all of those things. And then 3, be flexible in the path that you're going to take to writing. I talked a lot about traditional path, but I'm also doing an indie project and basically independently publishing something in the fall. And I'm really excited about it. And I would say, especially for, people of color, particularly Black writers, the gatekeepers don't look like us, right? It's very subjective, right? They have to connect to the writing. They may not connect to our cultural background and experiences. So it's not that you cannot place value on someone telling you yes or no for that particular publisher. You may not be a good fit for whatever, abstract reason. It might be valid. It might be racially based. It probably is, but be flexible in your path. You do not have to just take that. I know I have plenty of 100% indie authors who are doing this full time, making bank. That traditional is not the only path. So be flexible in that. Know what your goals are. If you just want to get the story out, figure out what's the best platform and then go for it.
That was some great, really good answers. Thank you so much.
Of course, yes.
And before, I'm sorry, you had a question, Kim? Okay. And before we let you go,
look, since you threw it to me real quick, another question came up. Just from me being a filmmaker perspective, if you could turn one of your books right now that had a magic wand into a film or series, which one would you pick?
I would actually pick the Vampire Slayer series. Probably more expensive, but but I'm not going to be practical because this is, that's my real answer. Yeah, the Slayer series for sure. Yes.
Okay,
cool.
It's good, cool. And before we let you go, Sharina, how can the viewers find you on social media, and especially where can they find your amazing products at?
Oh, well, thank you. So I am on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, and it's really under Sharina Writes consistently. That's my handle, just all together. SHARINA Writes. As far as finding my books, you can check out my website, SharinaHarris.com, or you can go to your local bookstores. Hopefully they have my books there. You can ask before Barnes & Noble, any major retailer, or, check out the Zon, but check your indie bookstores first, give them some love. And if not, you can check me out on Amazon. You can get an ebook, you can get, a paperback copy of, and I have my books here. You got Imperfectly Happy, and you got Judge's Girls.
Love it. I love it. And Sharina, just thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Four Friends in the Book podcast. We love, speaking with you, getting your journey, being inspired. You actually inspired me, to actually go out there and do some fictional work. Like Kim said, we're dreamers. You're a dreamer as well, too. So, we have that connection.
Yes. Yep. Just taking the first step, just going for it. Absolutely. Yes. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Well, and also, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Four Friends in the Book podcast. As always, let's continue to read, learn, grow, and have a discussion here on Four Friends in the Book. Until next time, thank you so much.